We are back on BVarsity Live here at the California's downtown studios. Trevor had to step out just for a minute, but I'm going to keep rolling through predictions. We got about 12, 14 minutes here to get through the rest of them. So we just did Arvin and Foothill. What is up next? Wasco and Coalinga. See, this is a tough one for me to call. Wasco didn't look very good last week, frankly, losing by 12 points to North High. Part of that, though, is because Wasco couldn't hang on to the football. And to win in football, step one is hanging on to the football. And they fumbled, I think, 5 times, lost 4 of them, that sort of thing. I don't think that's going to happen again, and I think if they can hold on to the ball, I did like some of the things they were doing offensively and defensively, and I think Wasco can beat a team like Coalinga, and I picked them to win a very close game, 28-24. They got to hang on to the football, though. If fumbles become an epidemic up there, it could be a long season because they handle the ball a lot.
Yep, 28-12.
28. There pops that 12 again, yeah. You just hate kickers, man.
I don't hate kickers.
They're not that bad. They don't miss them all. All right. What's next?
I just don't see them running them that much.
The Burros against Tehachapi. If you didn't know that, the Burros nickname is actually the Burros. Burros. They played Palmdale pretty well last week, did Burros, by the way. Palmdale's a very good team from the Lancaster area, and Burros lost to them, but it's 14-6, played great defense against a team that scored a lot of points. Does that mean they can go up to the mountain and beat Tehachapi? Tehachapi, I don't think we know a whole lot about them because they beat Foothill, but we all expected them to beat Foothill. I think Tehachapi will find a way to score enough points, especially at home. If this game was out in Ridgecrest, I'd feel differently, but I think Tehachapi's a solid favorite here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that defensively it's about the same, but I have them scoring a lot of points again just because I think they're running the ball really well. Once again, they got a good O-line coming back and some good backs.
So I have Tehachapi 27-14. Trevor has them 45-, guess what, 12. Next. I'm serious. Look at the predictions online. See how many times he picks 12. You don't have enough fingers and toes for it.
No one cares about this more than you do.
Arroyo Grande scored 62 points on Independence over at the Coast last year in a season-opening victory, or at least it was season open for Independence. It is again this year. It's Lucas Lucero's varsity coaching debut. It is a very tough assignment for a varsity coaching debut. I think Arroyo Grande, too good for the Falcons this week.
Yep.
But you see, now this is another interesting one looking at your score. I like Fred Weaver to score a few points with that Independence offense. I think I have 48-20 for Arroyo Grande. You have 35-6, so you really like that Arroyo Grande defense as well.
I saw a lot coming back from that team that beat Liberty last year, and with Fred Weaver at quarterback in his first time after being an all-area first
definitely
team,
could be some hiccups.
There could be a lot of hiccups because maybe he doesn't feel comfortable in the pocket and kind of runs out. I don't know how many. And
Arroyo Grande beat Lompoc last week, by the way. And Lompoc a traditionally like 10-11 win season program. So,
I mean, I hope that Independence finds a way, but until we actually see what this offense can do, I just don't know.
Okay, next up. We have Highland at Taft. Guess what? These two teams are 1-0, which means one of them gets to be 2-0 at the end of 2 weeks. And neither one of these programs have been 2-0 in quite some time. Was Highland maybe they were last year. They beat Arvin last year, and then they collected a forfeit from Taft, I think, because this was the week that Taft had the hazing scandal
on the field in a long time.
Yeah, so let's get this game played, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not have any of that stuff going on. Taft, God, I don't think any team surprised/impressed me as much in week 0 as Taft did. 48 points at Golden Valley. Josh Saylor ran all over him. He told you in the preseason he was going to be a 2,000-yard running back, and we all sort of said, okay, that's a great goal, but that's a lot of yards. And then he ran for 189. He's well on his way.
Yeah, and he had 26 carries, and that was still only 40% of the rushing plays that they had. I mean, 53 rushing plays, only 5 passing. So I talked to George Falgot, the head coach here at Taft today, and he said they're running the same offense that they ran very successfully when he was on staff at Clovis East.
With Tim Murphy, yep.
Yeah, where it's a double type formation, but they're in the shotgun 100% of the time. So that gives those. I mean, you're talking about 7 O-linemen basically when you think about both tight ends, and so those backs get an extra couple steps forward against
Head
the
of steam.
defense.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that's gonna do a lot of good things for them if they can keep doing it.
Clovis East, I'll tell you what, those years they won those championships, everybody knew what they were going to do and they couldn't stop it, and that's what happened with Golden Valley last week. I think Taft wins this game 35-16. You have them 35-30. Okay, up next, East and North. East's opener, okay, but they lost an awful lot from last year's team, and they weren't all that good last year at 3-7. I think North rolls here. I have them 34-7.
Yes.
You have 35-6, so we were very close on that one. Okay, up next, Bakersfield Christian, and by the way, the number you see in parentheses here would be my central section ranking for these teams, the top 25 I rank, which you can also find on bakersfield.com/BVarsity. CVC, Central Valley Christian out of Visalia, came to Bakersfield last year and put a whooping on the Eagles, and that was sort of the eye-opener that all of a sudden we didn't think BCHS was going to be as good as it had the year before. They turned out to be pretty good, but definitely not as good. And I think BCHS will be fine, I think, but this early season schedule is going to challenge them. I think CVC gets this done. I have 28-19. You have them by your favorite score of 35-13.
Thank you.
Which maybe that could be more like the case.
I'm interested to see if they stay with Michael Foy as a starting quarterback or if Brad Western is now going to be.
Brad Western was the guy who sort of rallied them
178
last
yards, and after he took over for Foy, I think late in the first half. So
we need to get you a T-shirt, as Justin just said, that said Horn hates PATs because you don't like them. Okay, up next.
I don't dislike them. I just don't think a lot of teams
Tulare
do
Union at Garces. Tulare Union, a very good team. I think they are the team that if anybody unseats Ridgeview in Division II, it's going to be Tulare Union. They come down to face Garces, which lost to Mount Whitney last week. They were tied going into the fourth quarter, couldn't quite come up with a big win. Garces will get there. I don't think it's going to happen this week with Romello Harris running against him. You know what he did last week? 333 yards and 5 touchdowns against El Diamante. Romello Harris coming to town, boys and girls.
That's it?
That's it. Tulare Union. I think Garces is in trouble keeping up with Tulare Union here. Okay, up next. South and Cesar Chavez. What a game this is. I know how you feel. You think Tulare Union wins big. Yeah. Okay, we know.
Sadly, it's a bad home opener for AJ Gass.
But we'll see. Hey, I am telling you AJ Gass will get it together at Garces. I just don't think it's going to happen yet. South at Cesar Chavez, very, very intriguing game here. South, a D3 contender, the defending SEYL champion, in fact, two-time defending SEYL champion. Cesar Chavez, the defending SSL champion, and definitely a title contender in Division 4. In fact, I'm starting to look around at the Division 4 field and saying Cesar Chavez might well be the favorite in that division. I think they win easily here. I'm going to say it. I think Cesar Chavez is a step above South. I think they're that good. I have them 27-7.
That's impressive. I still like South. I'm not ready to jump the South ship just yet, but I like what Casey Quinn is doing up there in Delano, and I think it's going to be a close game. What did I pick?
You have 28-20. Right. I just think, look, this isn't to put down South. I think they're fine. I think they're going to win the SEYL for the third straight time. It's a heck of an accomplishment. I think Cesar Chavez has put itself on another level right now. That's what I believe. So we'll see what happens in that one up in Delano, but that's a good one. And Esteban Ramirez is going to be up there for the California, so we'll get updates from that tomorrow night as well. Okay, up next, Delano at Stockdale, the Mustang season opener. If Stockdale ranked number 16 in the section, if they're that good, if they really are 16th best in the section, they better take care of Delano. I think they do.
You have it a lot. I have it a lot closer than you do, but I'm really, really intrigued to see what this Brett Shelton team does in year 2 with him as a head coach. I think they bring a lot back. I'm still interested to see who they have a quarterback. Yep. I think they've got a lot of weapons. They should be
a fun team to watch.
Yeah, they got a very senior-oriented O-line. I think the defense is stout.
Now,
It'll be fun. It'll be really
interesting. If Stockdale is going to compete with Clovis, whom they play in a few weeks, they better beat Delano, or if they can't beat Delano, they have no business. I think we're going to
but
we'll see. That's not to put down Delano. I do think it's interesting score comparison. You have to be careful with these sort of things. But Delano lost by 2 touchdowns to South on the road. What do they do against Stockdale on the road?
Well, and I think you brought up a very interesting point in your predictions is we're going to find out very quickly. We know Liberty and BHS are going to be 1-2 flip-flop some way in the SWYL. I think we're going to find out very quickly who's going to be 3, 4, and 5.
And I think Frontier, which has the week off this week, made a statement even in a loss last week. Okay.
But we're going to see very quickly 3, 4, 5 because Centennial is at home against Clovis West, and then, like you said, Stockdale and Clovis. So if they play, it's going to be a very interesting year in the SWYL.
As it is always. Moving on. Clovis West and Centennial. Look at those rankings, and that tells you how big of a game this is from a Division I seeding perspective. Centennial took care of Porterville last week. I'm still going to go on record saying I didn't like the way that offense looked in their scrimmage against Ridgeview. I didn't really like how it looked most of the time last year. And even against Porterville, they sort of lived on the big play. And it's great to get big plays, but I like to see a win down to down, especially against a solid team like Clovis West. Maybe Brandon Robinson can be the he didn't play the first quarter last week. He didn't play in the scrimmage, so maybe he can be the spark that Centennial sort of needs to get going down to down. But they can't rely on those 50-yard screen passes and the kickoff return touchdowns against a team like Clovis West. I think Clovis West comes to town, wins a tight game, a low-scoring game, 21-13.
Pound for pound, I think you put him in the top 2 or 3 in skilled running backs. I put Quincy Jowney up there. I put Jamar Moyer, Darius Smith up there. But Brandon Robinson, if he can get it together and pound the rock like he did 2 years ago as a sophomore, and Cesar De Leon is able to find guys in the screen pass and the short, I think Centennial can get there, but not this one.
You're going to take Clovis West. Okay. Up next, the two big ones. Edison at BHS. This is where you will be. Edison lost on the last play of the game to Buchanan last year, similar to what they did to BHS, but winning the game last year. I mean, last week they lost to Buchanan. I'm all over the place. Bakersfield, of course, lost a 3-point game to Mountain Point of Phoenix, Arizona. I think BHS at home, looking for some revenge from last year, looking for get that bitter taste from last week out of their mouth. I just think it's a more well-rounded offensive team. Edison's offense is too mistake-prone, too young right now to keep up with that. I like BHS. I got a 30-17 score. You have 45-20 drillers.
Fill those buckets.
Fill the buckets. Yeah, that would fill a lot of buckets. I like that. That's a good call. Okay, game of the week, live on ESPN Radio, 12:30 a.m. and here on Bakersfield.com tomorrow, starting at 7 o'clock with a pregame show. Game starts at 7:30. It is our BVarsity game of the week. It is Liberty, still number 2 after their loss last week, at Ridgeview. Let's show this one to the folks, and this is one we disagree on. We agreed on a lot this week, not on this one. Why don't you make your pick first?
I like Ridgeview. I liked what I saw out of them. I thought the offensive line played well. Darius Smith doesn't need a hole, it looks like, to get through. He can bust through a hole, and he can go around. Obviously he's the fastest guy in the section in the 100, and I don't know. It all depends on injuries, too. You take Matt Hubble out of the offense because he's got that big cast on his hand, and we'll find out later tonight exactly what's going to go on with
Jordan Love, I think, is a real X factor, too. Can he play? He left the game against Mission Viejo late with a concussion or concussion-like symptoms. Question mark whether he can play. We think he's okay, but there's with head injuries, you always want to err on the side of caution, and so we don't know exactly what Liberty will do. I think more than anything, your pick, Trevor, 20-19 Ridgeview, A, shows that you hate point after attempts, and B, shows
Ridgeview tried 2 and they missed 1.
So, and B, shows that you believe in Ridgeview's defense more than anything else right now, 20-19, which is interesting because Frontier was able to score on last week. I've got Liberty winning this game, 34-27. I think it's the intangibles that went against them last week. Mission Viejo coming to town, having already played a game, looking for some revenge from last year. That's why I took Mission Viejo last week. I didn't expect it to be 27-0 in the third quarter, but there we had it. This week, I think Liberty wants some revenge for that Ridgeview game. Last year, they got caught after beating Mission Viejo by a Ridgeview team that was better than people thought. This year, I think they come out with a vengeance and beat Ridgeview because of last week and because of last year. So that's our picks. Again, live tomorrow night on Bakersfield.com and ESPN Radio 12:30 at 7 o'clock.
Say that he didn't lose. He didn't pick a loser this week.
He didn't. He did not miss a game this week because he just walked by. He never made any picks. So thanks, Lewis. Thanks a lot. For Trevor Horn, for John Farron, our producer, our thanks to Paul Golick here, Greg and Jakal Tomlin from BHS Football coming in. We'll see you next Thursday at 2 o'clock. Don't forget, BVarsity Game Night live tomorrow at 7 o'clock. See you then, everybody.
Well tomorrow night.
Looking deep down the left side, Mendeville into the end zone, touchdown!